Starting with the main event, Derrick Lewis coming in as a plus 325 underdog against Jailton Almeida, who steps in at minus 450, over under 1.5 rounds, plus 250 for the over, and a hefty price of minus 350 for the under. Jailton Almeida, undefeated in the UFC. He's bounced around between light heavyweight, a bunch of catch weights. Looks like he's trying to find a home at heavyweight. He's a big dude. He's jacked, but might be a little undersized when he's looking up against Derrick Lewis, who is 38 years of age, but he's a big boy, every bit of 265. Brought out the abs his last time against Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Big bounce back win there. It was the last fight on his contract. Big knockout win with the flying knee. That was one of my favorite moments of the year because I had a big bet on Derrick Lewis, cashed it as a plus 200 dog for me, so I was happy about it. But in this one, coming in as a even bigger underdog against Jailton Almeida, you always got to be cautious of that right hand or maybe a flying knee up the middle. That might be something he could land because Jailton Almeida always going to look to take the fight to the ground. Take the fight to the ground pretty dang early. Who you liking in this one?
Yeah, obviously the line is super wide and probably for good reason. I mean, Derrick Lewis coming off the impressive knockout. I don't think anybody saw the knockout coming in that fashion. But, this Jailton Almeida is a way different animal than Marcos Rogerio de Lima. I mean, Jailton so far in the UFC has looked dominant. Nobody's really been able to test him and really drag him to deep waters or really have any chance of even beating him. I mean, he's submitting or knocking out everybody. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, first round. Anton Turkalj, first round submission. I mean, everybody's just going out, pretty early. But Derrick Lewis is also a different beast than anybody Jailton's fought, especially as of late. I mean, Jairzinho has the striking and he's decent, but he's not a Derrick Lewis. And then everybody else on the list is Parker Porters and the Turkaljs aren't even in the same realm. So that makes it interesting to me, especially when you're fighting a guy like Lewis, who is the most decorated knockout artist in UFC history. He does have that one-shot knockout power at any time in the fight. I mean, it could be the first 10 seconds, and we've seen in fights it could be the very last second. He's always live for the knockout. And we haven't really seen what Jailton looks like after a few minutes into the second round. I mean, we know Derrick Lewis is going to slow down. He's going to be a little slower as fights go on. But at the end of the day, that power carries through every single round. This is a 5-rounder. I don't expect it to go past 3.5. But him being that live at any time just has to make you think about taking the dog. Like realistically, Jailton probably takes him down, and there's a good chance he could find the neck. Probably doesn't knock him out, but I look at Sergey Spivak being able to take Derrick Lewis down and get that arm triangle in. I mean, I see something like that probably happening. But man, I just love Derrick Lewis so much, and I love the power and the capability of just putting anybody's lights out. So it's so tempting to take him. But Jailton seems like one of these new breeds of fighters that are up and coming, who is a heavyweight, but he's like a slim, super athletic heavyweight. So I think that could be a little too much for Derrick Lewis at this point in his career. Jailton too. With the wrestling, the dude averages over 6.4 takedowns per fight at a 68% accuracy. Like this dude, it's not that he's, such a great wrestler, can get the fight down, but he's relentless with it. Like if he doesn't get the first attempt, you can damn sure bet he's going to try again shortly. And sooner or later, you're going to end up with your back on the mat. And from what I've seen, at least the top pressure is good. The submission game, the jiu-jitsu, everything is good. He checks all the boxes right now. And, the one thing I want to see, especially in this fight on Saturday, is how he looks after a guy like Derrick Lewis is standing up time and time again. To see if he still has that will to get fights to the ground, or if he breaks a little and starts to get tired. So I'm super interested to see what happens. My pick is going to be Jailton Almeida. Betting wise, you could almost guarantee I'm going to sprinkle on that Derrick Lewis knockout because I feel like you have to at this point.
Yeah, it's always scary going against Derrick Lewis because, it just takes one. And he's got like a majority of ways he's been able to find it throughout the years. It's like the uppercut, the knee, just the straight right hand. He catches you once. He has that ability to stun you to the point where you don't know what's happening, and he just puts it on you, and before you know it, like the fight's over. He was on that 3-fight losing streak. That one fight against Spivak didn't look good. Apparently, he had a bunch of health issues going into that one, and he ultimately got smitted in the first round, taken down a bunch of times. But Spivak is more of a chain wrestler type, going to wear you down, pick you up, and throw you down a lot of times. Jailton Almeida, not exactly that. He's going to go for the takedown if he gets it. He's got super good top control. Like the way that he can get you to the ground and you're just kind of you're blanketed down on the ground is it's scary for a lot of these guys. We've seen it at the lower level when he came into the UFC, just easy round one rear naked chokes. And then he fought Shamil Abdurakhimov, who was a little bit thicker dude, got him to the ground. Abdurakhimov doesn't have much of a neck, so that was tough. But he ultimately got the ground and pound in round 2. And it was kind of just the same thing. It's like gets you to the ground. You can't get up because he's got such good top control that you're basically forced to give your back or just bank the round, like stay on your back and try to fight it off. And then against Rosenstrike, we're like, this is a guy who has good knockout power. And he's one of those guys, if he catches you once, like you're done. And he was able to get that takedown, which was like interesting to watch because it wasn't like a normal takedown, but he still managed to get it. He basically just like faked a left hand, shot for the takedown. Rosenstrike kind of pushed him away, but he just grabbed the ankles and it was basically over at that point. He got him to the ground and got the rear naked choke in. So if you look at this one for Derrick Lewis, I don't know if standing up is going to be the best way to go about it, because if you just try to stand up, he's probably going to take your back, and Jailton Almeida on your back is not a good thing that you want. Like the explosiveness to get the takedowns is a main concern for me, because Derrick Lewis against a lot of these heavyweights that aren't as fast as Jailton Almeida, like he can fight him off, use his strength there, but like Jailton Almeida is so fast and so strong that like once he gets in on a double leg, like you're pretty much toast. And I don't know if Derrick Lewis is going to be able to handle that in this one. Jailton Almeida is going to be the pick. I'm honestly intrigued to see what the KO prop will be, because I think Almeida could get him in a point where he's flattened out and Derrick Lewis is able to just not give up his neck. He doesn't have like the biggest neck, but it seems like he's slimmed down a little bit. So maybe he's got a neck that Almeida could take. But I think the TKO prop might be something I'm looking at. Just get him flattened out and ground and pound him out. But we'll see. I mean, like you said, Almeida hasn't been past a round and a half in the UFC. So if Derrick Lewis can string this thing out, he's got a better chance. Early on, he's going to have to either throw caution to the wind and hope to land something, or he's going to have to fight smart. And I think both are not going to work out well for him. So I think Almeida is going to be the pick. And, it's always tough to go against Derrick Lewis. Fan favorite. Everybody wants him to win, but sometimes it's just a bad matchup. I think this is a bad matchup.